So in order to provision, we need to set up the templates, the provisioning templates, and the CSR template. So in this section, I have already created a CSR template previously. So you can see the settings. I've selected the cryptographic keys. Next is to set up the provisioning template. So I'll click on the plus button at the right top and specify the certificate information. So I give my template name as my IIS provisioning, or rather a deploy bot. Select the origin, which is basically the SSL TLS certificate for my server. So renaming it to deploy bot, let's make it more concise, and select my SSL TLS certificate. I'll go ahead with the DFI, select my CSR template that I've created earlier, which is the web app server. Now I need to specify my target IIS server key store folder path. So as you can see here onto my server, the key store folder path is under the C drive keys. So I select the directory and specify my deployment server. The next would be to select my issuing CA for the certificate. Since this is my internal server IIS, so I'll simply go ahead and issue my certificate from the private PKI EMCA. Hence, my IIS server deployment template is ready. Next is to create the Nginx server deployment template. Similarly, I'll give a template name. So let's give it as my Nginx deploy bot. Select the origin, which is SSL TLS. I'll select the type as DV, select my CSR template, which is the web app server, and now configure the server, that is the Nginx. To specify the path, so as you can see onto my server where Nginx server is sitting, so you can see the path. So I'll specify this path onto my deployment template. Next, specify the key store folder, which is in the local C drive keys directory. And finally, the CA type. So I'll go ahead again with my private CA, that is the EMCA. With that, my provisioning template is complete for both the IIS and Nginx server. So let's go back to the discovery certificates. And we will select the respective certificates, that's the discovered certificates, and rotate. So in order to do that, first I need to configure my discovered certificates with the template that I had created earlier for provisioning. So I've selected my respective template and applied. As you can see, the certificate information. I'll then quickly include the organization name as test.org. The remaining information looks fine to me. I'll just use the default one and proceed. And also check the deployment server information here. I'll reaffirm the CA type as well. So it's completed. And next, I'll configure the IIS server discovered certificate for rotation as well. So simply select the certificate under the actions configuration, select the deployment template that I had created earlier, apply, recheck the certificate information. I'll provide the test.org as the organization name and the default information as it is. Proceed. And then here we need to specify the binding site and the binding port for my IIS server. So as you can see here, my site name is surajtest.com and my binding port is 444. So accordingly, I'll provide this information onto the template. Next is the binding port, which is 444, and reaffirm the CA type, which is my private PKI EMCA. Now, my configuration for both the certificate to rotate is completed. The next step is to simply select the certificate and rotate. So during the rotation of the certificate, it will reissue with the new configured template, the CSR, the certificates get issued and deployed to its target endpoints, which is basically the Nginx and IIS server. So you can see my bot is successfully running, which is web app server bot on my server system. Hence, I'll select my certificate and click on rotate. This would take 1 to 2 minutes of time in order to issue and successfully get deployed onto its target endpoints. Hence, my certificate is successfully issued. Now it's in deployment stage in the backend. In the meanwhile, I'll quickly select my IIS GeneX server certificate and rotate it as well. As you can see, my certificate is successfully issued. In the meantime, you can see my previous certificate was also successfully deployed. Right? You can see now the issuing CA of the certificates have changed from mSign to the TLS sub CA, which is basically my private PKI EMCA. The validity period has also changed. It's updated to the new configured certificate template. Now let's check the certificate whether it's deployed successfully. So I'll quickly go onto my server system, refresh my page, open my IIS server site name, that is surajtest.com. On the browser itself, you can validate whether it's updated. So here under the certificate information, we can check. Now my issuing CA is TLS sub CA, and you can see the root hierarchy is trusted. Hence, it is successfully deployed to my IIS server. As you can see, the issuing CA have changed. The expiry date has updated. That's it.